Okay, today we're going to go at changing the exhaust on a Mini Cooper S. Now this car is actually a convertible, which is pretty much the same. There's just a couple of strengthening bars underneath. So what we start with is we start with the exhaust coming out of the engine here, and then it goes through the cat. You can see the lambda sensor here, and then the exhaust we're going to replace it with starts here, and it's what we call a cat back. So it leaves the catalyst in place, and then it replaces this pipe that goes down through the middle here. Now these bars here are the strengthening bars that are unique to the convertible, and we'll probably have to take those off. Now they can be a bit of a pain to undo, so with our exhaust you can actually cut the exhaust through here and take it out without removing those bars, and the new one, because of the way we've designed it, you can then reassemble it without the need to remove those strengthening bars, which may save you some time depending how bad the nuts are. Then the exhaust does a bit of a tricky thing. It comes out here, goes into this first silencer box here, then out all across the back into the second silencer box, and then it comes out, and then both pipes actually come out of that one. So it's not each silencer feeding one box, so you've got two silencer boxes there, and it's a one-piece system from the catback from BMW. There's a heat shield here we've got to remove, so we'll get some tools together, we'll show you the new system on the floor, and we'll start removing. Okay, so we've loosened some of this stuff off to keep the video nice and quick. So it's 15mm socket on those, the flanged exhaust nuts. So there's two of those. So we're starting at the catalyst end and working back. Now, on the original exhaust, this end, if you look like the other end of the bolt, Tom, you'll see that they're welded onto they're welded on there. So it's you don't need two spanners, you just get the socket or the spanner on the other side, and that's that, ready to go. Right, the next thing to do is to lower this centre mount down. So again, we've loosened these a little. The 10mm socket we've got on these. Let's have a look what. Again, they're flanged bolts. They're little flanged bolts. How many of these? We got 6 of these. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a convertible, but this should be the same as any Cooper S, other than the strengthening bars. But this middle mount should be the same. Now we've chosen to do it on a convertible for two reasons. One, we happen to have one, and secondly, as it's the most complex, it seemed the best one to do. So the original BMW exhaust is a full one-piece system. If you go to BMW to buy one, you have to buy the whole shooting match. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, if you grab the exhaust, stop it falling on my head. Okay, so we can leave that mount. You can see there the rubber mounts. See how far it'll go, Tom. It's resting there, is it? So we'll leave that resting on the middle mount. Now this exhaust has been cut and joined. That was part of our development work, so we'll ignore that, and then we'll get on to the strengthening bars. Now this is the bit that if you've got a normal Mini Cooper S, you can gloss over. Now the normal bolts in here are Torx head. We've removed those because they can be problematic, and we've just replaced them with some M10 bolts here. Thank you, Tom.
I think they're high tensile, high torque, so they don't slip when the car wants to twist and buckle.
So this is, again, because you haven't got a roof on the convertible, this is obviously part of the strengthening. So it may just be worth noting, Tom, if you show them the order at which these are on. So there's two bars here, a long bar and a short bar. The long bar sits on top. Excuse me. And then the long bar, one end of it has got. I'll take this out. I'm getting that. There you go. So one bar's got like a spacer. So the sill end of the long bar has got a spacer built into it. and a fairly long bolt going up into the depths of the sill. Okay, so that's the long bar, and that's the bolt going up into that. So that's the long bar off, and then, I mean, the short bar we could just put out the way, really, couldn't we, Tom? There's no real need to.
No, if you have space.
If we have space, in fact,
It's easy on a set of ramps, not so easy if you're working on the road.
Let me just. If I just loosen that a bit, Tom, we'll just drop that. So, yeah, we've just supported the exhaust. So they're the little nuts there. They sort of feel they're plastic, so they shouldn't rust up. They should be easy enough to. It's weird having plastic nuts on each shield, isn't it, Tom? They're clever, these Germans.
It's at the bottom of the battery tray.
Let's have a look. I don't think so. Yeah, you're right, Tom. That's the bottom of the battery tray, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. I think only the convertibles had the battery back in. So to get these rear silencers off, we've got two choices. We can either take off the mount at the top there, thank you, Tom, but we're going to just drop the bottom part of the cradle assembly, if you like. Hold this in, so it's a 10mm. I'll put that on there so I could spin that off when it was lit. Okay, so you can see now that it's starting to drop the exhaust. So that's the bolts out of there. Okay, so let's. I think I'm going to leave that one half hanging, Tom. Watch your head.
Unless you've got a support, transmission support.
Yeah, no, we'll be right. Now with the new exhaust we've got new clamps, so we're not ultra worried. In fact, those clamps look like once you've got one removed, we can cut those out the way. Right then, Tom, if I grab the back end, okay, he weighs some, doesn't he? Alright, Tom's put one bolt in the front. Can you do that? So I'll put the camera down, Tom. Right, we'll lower that onto the floor. You got it? Right then, let's see. We're going to have to angle it out a bit. Hold on, my bracket's got reattached, so we're going to have to go. What should we go back with? Oh gosh, right. Let's go to one side. Okay, so there is the original system, and it weighs a ton. That's it removed. We'll now set that up next to the new one so you can see the difference. I've got to take the exhaust mount off now, so we should better just pull these out of the rubbers. There's going to be a bit of a fight. I got it well. It's got eye on the ramp. Let me have a go getting this one out there. Easy. Seems to come out a bit easier. Yeah, that might make things better. And that large bit. He's tight, Tom. Stop. I'll just stop the video there. Tom got that through there for me. There we go. Okay, so that's that. Right. Now this is a good point in the video to show you the different types of mount. So that's the mount we've just taken off, okay? We believe this to be the early type mount, don't we, Tom? That's what we've been informed. So you can see that our replacement exhaust emulates this exactly. So you've got one pointing towards the camera and one pointing there to the side, okay? But they also did another type of mount like this, okay? And here you'll notice that the outboard mount nearest the wheel points in the same direction, but the inboard mount, instead of pointing into the middle of the car, points to the front of the car. So you might need to check on your vehicle if you've got the wrong type. We've made two sets of brackets so you'll have to change it. But this, we're calling this type the early type. Okay, so if there's a problem with that, you need to check that. Okay, so now we've got everything else off the car, it's time to start putting it back together. So we're going to start by we'll do everything in the reverse. So we'll hang that one up in there, and then we'll make sure we get it in that that bottom hole there. Okay, up there. We're then going to just spin the clamp bolt off so it's loose, and then we'll be able to reposition that later. So I'll put the other one on the other side. We'll leave those hanging there, ready to accept the exhaust, and we'll go and get the other bits. We fitted the exhaust, so we're going to supply it with the gaskets. We've put the gasket in, and we'll supply it with new nuts and bolts. That's fitted there, so obviously that's from the catalyst. Then you'll see the exhaust fitted. There's this silencer here that wasn't on the original one in the tunnel. And then you've got the mounts onto the centre mount plate, and then it goes round, and then this is the Y piece. So the Y piece kicks up as it goes up into the centre there, then it splits. You've got the clamp here where the silencer joins, round the silencer, and then out to the back. So there's a joint here to join the two together. We haven't bolted it up yet. And we put a skid plate there on the back of the silencer to ensure full strength there. And then if we look from the back, you can see the configuration. You've got the two pipes there, and you've got the silencer. We've tried to keep them as small as possible to keep the weight down. We will noise test it. We'll drive it around the car park in a minute to let you know. We've also done a rolling road test, and we'll put the data up for that on the internet, so you can see the power. It doesn't lose any power. It gains a fractional bit, but it's stainless steel. So there you go. That's how to fit the exhaust. We've just got to put the strengthening bars back in place now, and put the heat shield back on, tighten it all up, and we're done.